Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Great Ball League Royal Action Round 1 featuring Xavier versus Jack. Xavier playing the Poltons and Jack with Lugia. So Jack going first, he uses Nest Ball to look for some Pokemon in his deck. He brings out the Lugia. Obviously, he wants to get Lugia in as soon as possible to get the Lugia V-Star. So the right next one he will love to do probably is to get a Archeops. He gets the Mesagoza. He chooses to use the Mesagoza, rolls the dice, he gets a hit, which lets him take any Pokemon he won right now. So obviously, you know, with his opponent with Iron Thorns in front, it will be difficult to get the Summoning Star out, so he'll have to find a way to push the Iron Thorns out. So he's looking for something, perhaps maybe an Archeops to help to discard ASAP, or perhaps something else. Right now we have Jack looking through his deck and he takes a Fluttermane out. Obviously, Fluttermane is a great counter for the Iron Thorns because it also negates abilities but only the opponent's active Pokemon. So if he blocks the Iron Thorns, the Lugia can safely use Summoning Star from the bench. So he attaches the energy to the Luminion and passes back to Xavier. Xavier gets the Pokegear. No, he uses the Mesagoza first. Rolls the dice, he gets the Tails. Now he uses the Pokegear 3.0. Looking for an important trainer card to set up his bench. And he gets the Arven. Shuffles the deck first. I believe he's going to probably use the Arven. Will he be using the Arven? Obviously, as for Xavier, Poltons, what he wants to do is fill his bench with the Dreepies and Dracloaks, you know, and using the Iron Thorns to buy some time before, you know, anything bad happens. Because obviously, as a Stage 2 deck, he wants to build a Pokemon without any problems. So he gets the Precious Trolley and the Evolution. And the very powerful Precious Trolley, if you get it on turn 1, you can fill your entire bench with Pokemon up to the amount of empty spaces you have. So Xavier putting 4 Dreepies in the bench. Perhaps still thinking about whether he might want to play something else. He might put a second Iron Thorns just in case. Looking to the deck. Xavier perhaps maybe looking for a second one. Oh, he gets the Alakazam, Radiant Alakazam. Hopefully as a damage spreader, because what the Dragapult does is the Phantom Dive, which spreads damage counters, so obviously it's a great supporting Pokemon for this deck. He attaches a Lightning Energy and an Evolution, choosing to evolve obviously the Dreepies, Dracloaks, so we can get the Dragapult out without any problems. Shuffles the deck, passes it back to Jack going on his second turn. So what Jack will need right now is to manage to get, I believe, well, he gets the second hits. Obviously, he may want to get an Archeops right now because he still has 0 Archeops in the bench. Sorry, in the discard pile. If he gets 2 in the discard pile, he clears the conditions to get the Summoning Star and the energy. So he evolves the Lugia to a Lugia V-Star. Retreats to the Fluttermane. Uses Luminion. He's probably looking for something that helps him get Archeops. Okay, so he gets the Jack, using the Jack, which lets him take 2 Evolution Pokemon, obviously, 2 of them being double Archeops. And the good thing about the Archeops is that the Iron Thorns will not stop Archeops because it is not a Rulebox Pokemon. So as long as he can get the Archeops into the bench and the Summoning Star to work, you know, Lugia does not really need to do anything else. Maybe because he'll be a bit meek stick before going on to the next game. So he uses the Ultra Ball, discards the 2 Archeops, Summoning Star. This is the Summoning Star. He takes the Regigigas into the hand. Right now, with the Fluttermane in front, he attaches to the Fluttermane. I believe using the first Primal Turbo to attach the Gift Energy, the Mist Energy, and the Jet Energy. Choosing not to use the second Primal Turbo for now. With the Iron Thorns, of course, you know, it can knock out the Fluttermane in one hit. But perhaps he doesn't really need the Fluttermane once he already has the Arceus in the bench. So he chooses to use the Fluttermane's attack Midnight Fletching, doing 90 damage, and then 2 damage counters to the bench. So he chooses to spread 1 to the Radiant Alakazam and 1 to the second Dracloak. So right now, Xavier with the Mesacosa, he fails with a 1. It's a Tails. He'll use his first Recon Directive, choosing the card. Right now, if I was Xavier, I would like to work on my bench some more, so that once the Lugia gets rolling, it's really hard to stop. So you want to get your Dragapult up as soon as possible and attach some energies on the board, because there is right now still a lack of energy in the side of Xavier with only 1 lightning energy. So perhaps he might be looking for a Crispin to get things rolling. He chooses to use the second Arven of the game, however, looking to the deck for 1, I believe, a tool card and a Pokemon item. So he obviously wants to fill up the bench a little bit more, get some energies on the board, because without any energies, the Lugia is going to steamroll him, like I said earlier. Thinking through the play, perhaps, the Iron Tons could just be a little bit more bigger battery just for 1 or 2 more turns. It's going to be a bit hard, because if he uses the Arven this turn, he will not be able to get the Crispin play, which means, again, he will also not be able to attack, which could be a bit difficult because he might be behind the price trade. But right now, we're still at 6 prices to 6. Chooses to get the Future Booster Energy and the Ultra Ball, opting to shuffle the deck first, using the second Recon Directive. Right now, he has a couple energies in hand, uses the Ultra Ball, chooses to discard his second Iron Thorns, and the Lightning Energy, perhaps opting to get the Dragapult up as soon as possible. So he gets the third Dracloak on the bench. Hopefully, because the good thing about the balance between the Iron Thorns EX blocking opponent's attacks and opponent's abilities, and the Recon Directive is you get to see a lot of cards in hand, and you can see he has a lot of cards in his hand, opting to switch out to the Dreepy. Okay, so he wants to deny the opponent getting more prizes out, so he puts the Fire Energy on the third Dracloak, passing it back to Jack. Jack will want to take really big knockouts right now, and he has the Regigigas in his hand. So if the second Xavier puts out a Dragapult, he is going to bring out the big bad Regigigas. But right now, Jack choosing to use the Primal Turbo on the Lugia, attaching Mist Energy, Gift Energy, and 1 Jet from the deck. 2 Jet Energies on the deck. I'm guessing he will be choosing to manually retreating the Flutter Mane to get things going. Right now, he chooses to retreat the Flutter Mane, brings out the big Lugia with 4 energies, which means he'll hit for 220 with the Tempest Dive, and if he does so, he will hit with... he can choose to discard Mesacosa if he wants to. Oh, opting to boss out the Iron Thorns and hit for 220. Perhaps nope, uses Mesacosa first, rolls the Tails, Tempest Dive, he knocks out the Iron Thorns, taking 2 prizes. So once again we're back to Xavier, failing once again the Mesacosa, not really working, only worked on the very first turn for Jack, and after that, no, nothing has been going on so far. So obviously, if he gets 1 more energy or a Sparkling Crystal, we have no idea what, but he doesn't have Sparkling Crystal because he already used the Precious Trolley, so he really needs to get the energy up on the board to get the win. Evolves to Dragapult. If he has his second energy in hand, he obviously has second energy in hand. He will switch the Mesacosa to Lost City, which could be a very useful attacker, choosing to counter-catch the first Archeops out in play. And remember, because the Lugia and the Flutter Mane has the Mist Energy, the Phantom Dive will not be able to damage or, put damage counters on these two. Takes the second Poké Gear of the game. He chooses to get Crispin. Uses the Crispin right away. So obviously he gets 2 energy, but he only gets to attach 1 for the turn because he already has manually attached for the turn, opting to attach the fire energy to the second Dragapult on the bench. Alright, and now he'll be looking to get the Archeops out of play. So with nothing else to do, he uses the Phantom Dive, clears the first Archeops, and since he cannot spread damage to the Fluttermane or the Lugia, he opts to put 5, I believe, 5 damage counters on 6 damage counters on the Archeops. Once again, it's back to Jack with the Fluttermane in front. He obviously brings out the Regigigas because that is the one beat stick that can destroy Dragapult with his Jewel Break attack, because if your opponent is a Terra Pokemon, he hits for 100 plus 230 damage. The problem is he does not have enough to knock out with the Double Turbo, because the Double Turbo brings it to -20, bringing to a total of 310 damage. So unfortunately for Jack, he can hit with the Regigigas, but it will only do a maximum of 310 damage. But of course, that's nothing the Fluttermane cannot solve after this. So he uses the Jewel Break for 310. Passes it on back to Xavier. Of course, Xavier right now, if he hits one more Jewel Break, the Dragapult is gone. So if I was Xavier right now, okay, he brings the Turo scenario, clearing all the energy in play, denying Jack of the knockout on the previous turn. And now he uses the Recon Directive. He puts the recently scooped Dreepy back in the bench, uses his second Recon Directive. Hopefully he has a fire in hand. He just needs to get the Dragapult out and he can clear the Regigigas in play. He revolves the Dragcloak to Dragapult. Here's the 2 energy. He can go for a second Phantom Dive, and with Velocity in play, he can clear the Regigigas, and it means that it's going to be tough for Jack to hit for Jewel Break, because most Lugia players only play Run Regigigas. Opts to spread another, I guess, 6 more damage counters to the Archeops. Jack using the Aroma gets a tail, so he gets 1 basic Pokemon to put in his bench. Perhaps looking for the Minccino, although that damage, the HP could be a bit risky for him. Or maybe he might want to get the Ursaluna, so he gets the Ursaluna, he plays it onto the bench right away, shuffling the deck. He's currently at a 4-4 even price trade, although the game seems to be swinging a little bit more towards Xavier right now, because he's been dropping a lot of energies with losing the Lugia and losing the he lost the 1 Archeops and he lost the Regigigas. So he just uses the Tempest Die for 220. And now going back to Xavier's turn with the Terra Ball, getting a free Dragapult because it lets you take any Terra Pokemon. So now he has a second Dragapult waiting in the wings, so maybe even a third one in a sense. But of course, he will be using the Recon Directive first, taking 2 cards from the deck. Currently, we're still at a 4-4 game. It's still even on both players' sides. Attaches the Fire Energy to the second Dragcloak, which becomes a Dragapult. And then putting Evolution down to clear the Evolution from the hand. Uses Boss Orders, brings out the Lumineon. Things could be very risky for Jack right now. He benches. Oh, okay. So Xavier benching a very interesting Pokemon, because when it evolves into the Gastrodon will block all effects of Archeops, so basically rendering the Archeops play useless. But capturing Aroma for Jack gives him the hits. Doesn't take 1 evolution Pokemon, although not very useful play right now, but it can help him to thin his deck in case he needs to gets the Cinccino. could be useful, but the Dragapult's Phantom Dive could be very painful against it. So, but however, he has the Tempest Dive, and if he Tempest Dives right now, the Dragapult is gone. So, opting to attach the he chooses to put the Legacy on the Luminion. So if Xavier tries to get the knockout next turn, he only loses 1 prize on the Luminion. So right now with the damage counter, opting perhaps to get, he retreats the Lugia, a very safe play, which brings the Luminion in front with the Aqua return. So it puts the Luminion back in the deck, so you can use it for a boss next turn perhaps, and the Legacy. So you're basically saving up on energy. Right now we currently at 2-2, so what Xavier needs right now is 1 big boss to get him to win. I believe the Ursaluna has 60 damage, so he bosses out the Ursaluna with the Phantom Dive. He gets a knockout, and Xavier wins the round against Jack. Very wonderful play, and thank you all for joining us today. Alright, and welcome back to the Great Ball League at Rowell. We have round 2 right now. We have a Dragapult mirror match. On the top we have Jeremy, and on the bottom we have Brian Kung. I believe, a very interesting Dragapult mirror match could be different styles. So I guess we have Brian going first. He starts with the Rotom. He places a Drippy in the bench. Great start to have Rotom in front because he can use the draw, instant charge to draw 3 cards, and he does so to pass the turn. Now brings it back to Jeremy, or brings it to Jeremy. On his first turn, he uses the Ultra Ball, discards the Velocity and the Psychic Energy. Probably looking to get a Drippy, or perhaps maybe even a Rotom himself. Right, looking into the deck, because the thing about Dragapult Mirrors is, it could be the same deck with the same 60, or it could be an entirely different 60. Right, and this right now, Jeremy looking through the deck, checking which cards he prized, which cards he did not prize, and what he could use in the first turn. And he chooses to get the Luminion V into the bench. He gets the Arven, he gets the Sparkling Crystal, and the Buddy Poffin. He puts the, of course, 2 back in the hand. He gets the Buddy Poffin. He gets the Badoo and the Drippy. Obviously, one of the strongest cards in the current format, Badoo, with the Itchy Pollen, preventing the opponent from using any item cards in the next turn. Could be very painful for some. It could basically be useless for others. And right now, he will be using, probably want to get the Badoo in play, so he attaches the Fire Energy to the Drippy, attaches the Rescue Board on the Duskull, attaches the Forest Sealstone on the Luminion, and uses Itchy Pollen for 10. So right now, Brian's in a bit of a prickly, sticky situation, not being able to use the item cards, but thankfully he had Luminion V in his hand, which allows him to get any supporter, and basically if he has a strong supporter like Lance, which is the perfect card for this situation, it gets him up to 3 of any dragon Pokemon. So obviously choosing to get the Lance right now, he can bench more Drippies, he can get a Drag Cloak, maybe even a Dragapult if he so wishes to. Checking through his deck right now, he gets 1 Dracloak, he gets 1 Drippy, probably perhaps opting for a second Drippy or a Dracloak perhaps. Thinking, obviously looking at each player's situation right now, he gets the second Drippy. So now getting him a nice full bench of Pokemon. Perhaps choosing to bench, okay, shuffles the deck first, obviously, because if you don't shuffle the deck, you're gonna get disqualified or get some penalties from the judge if you don't. Happens in some players, you gotta keep careful what happens. Right now, Brian shuffling through the deck, having his a second Drippy in the bench. Uses the Recon Directive, perhaps getting a energy that he could use, because right now he cannot use any items. So and he uses the supporter for the turn, so the Rotom's gonna have to stay in front for a little bit more, unless he chooses to attach an energy to manually retreat the Rotom. So he puts the second repeat on the bench, uses instant charge for 3 once again, passing it back to Jeremy, uses the nest ball, obviously getting also himself a second repeat on the bench, shuffling through, because if Jeremy gets more item lock and he gets Dragapult fast, it could be a change of tides in the game perhaps. But uses the Iono, so shuffling the extra cards, that all the cards that Brian just drew, and now bringing him back down to 6. Sometimes you might have a good hand, but if your opponent has a very big hand, you obviously want to disrupt them because you might have no idea what he has in store. So Jeremy using the Iono right now, putting his third repeat on the bench. Perhaps looking for a Dragcloak to level his, to evolve his Pokemon. Opting to attach the, nope, he does not choose to attach the energy. Uses the Vista power via the Forest Seal Stone. Obviously not going to give him some lens right now because he has already used his supporter for the turn. He gets the card. I didn't really see what he picked up right there. But once again, just looking through that deck just in case you missed out on something that might give you the winning play for the turn after this. He opts to, I believe he just chooses to get a Dragapult off the Forest Seal Stone, immediately with the Recon Directive. Attaching the Psychic Energy to the second repeat, hits the once again with the Itchy Pollen. Jeremy's putting the Itchy Pollen game right now, and Brian's nose is feeling very sneezy right now with all that pollen up there, preventing him from using any item cards. But if he gets a lens once again, all of that Itchy Pollen will basically mean nothing. Uses the first Recon Directive. The good thing about the item lock is that he can still use Recon Directive and thin the deck, get the cards he needs in. Once he chooses to bring out the Dragapult, things could change in an instant. But alas, right now, doesn't really seem to be picking the cards that he needs right now. But he gets the Arven out, perhaps maybe getting the Evolution, or hoping to get an attack out pretty soon because he'll get one item and one tool, but the item will not be able to use. So he gets the Rescue Ball, which thankfully brings the Rotom to the bench, preventing Jeremy from bringing out a Dragapult next turn, perhaps to get 2 prizes. Actually, maybe even 3 with the Duskull right there. Looking through the deck, he gets the Ultra Ball. Perhaps maybe already looking for the Dragapult play as soon as possible. Alright, so Jeremy shuffling through the deck first, perhaps maybe he gets the Dragapult later, or maybe, okay, he rescue boards, he brings out the Dragcloak in front. Perhaps maybe he already has the Dragapult in hand with the amount of cards he have right there. With nothing there, okay, he chooses to attack with the Dragcloak instead, It's a fair trade because if Jeremy brings the Dragapult next turn, he kind of denies perhaps Jeremy of taking 1 extra prize. But with the risk of putting a 2 energy Dragcloak and going away, it could be a dangerous play. But Jeremy right here bringing Duskull in front, uses the Recon Directive to get 1 or 2 cards into his hand. He evolves the Dragcloak into a Dragapult. Uses the Night Stretcher to get the energy back in play, which it means Jeremy's gonna get a Phantom Dive coming. He uses the Iono once again, thinning out. It's a very skillful use of the Ionos, because every time Jeremy seems, once Brian seems to be building up a very strong hand, Jeremy always, brings him back down to earth with the huge Iono plays. I think we see either a Duskull or Dusclops or a Dusknoir in hand, I believe. He gets, looking through, a very big handful of energies actually. Opting to use the Ultra Ball and discarding the Arven. Doesn't really feel like he needs the Arven right now, and the Psychic Energy. Hoping, I believe, to get a, perhaps maybe a, oh, he gets the Festivity instead, which obviously gives him 3 more card system with the Flip the Script, a very strong game-changing ability ever since the card was introduced in Shadow Fable, I believe. So he gets to flip the script. He gets 3 cards. He brings the Dragapult in front thanks to the rescue bar, bringing the Duskull to safety. Opting to evolve the Duskull right now to the Dusclops. He uses the Phantom Dive, knocks out the Dragcloak with the 2 energies and the Duskull, taking 2 prizes right now, which could be a bit of a sticky situation for Brian right now, because Brian, on the other hand, I believe he does not have any energy in play, so he needs to probably get the Sparkling Crystal if he wants to get an action this turn, because if not, he might be losing the prize trade. Right now, just checking through his deck with the Buddy Poffin, perhaps looking to get a few more cards. The problem, however, is when your opponent has Dragapult in play, if you put a Duskull or a Budew in the bench, it's a free, easy, in a sense, easy way to give your opponent extra prizes. But obviously, sometimes you gotta tin the deck, whatever, in any possible way, just to get the cards you need. And now, probably looking to tin the deck right now, passing the deck to shuffle back to Jeremy. And he has not used his Recon Directive yet, so chooses the Recon Directive. Immediately picks up the card he needs. Perhaps maybe it was the Sparkling Crystal indeed. Right, he evolves the second Dreepy to the Dragcloak, gets the second Recon Directive. Gets the card. Perhaps he has enough for an attack back to the opponent's. Okay, he has the Dragapult in play. He has a Duskull, but the problem is, it's kind of risky to have the Duskull right there because Jeremy can hit that with 1 Phantom Dive next turn, but he chooses to boss out, I believe, was it the boss or the counter catcher? I couldn't really tell, but he gusts out the Luminion in front. He has the probably a counter catcher because he uses the Iono, but unfortunately, I don't think he has the Sparkling Crystal to hit, so he retreats into the Budew. Perhaps a very skillful play because now he cannot use Switch to get the Luminion out. So now, on the other hand, Jeremy is on the victim in a sense of the Ichipolan. So Jeremy gets the Arven right now, looking to probably get that Luminion out of the way, because if he gets that Luminion out of play, that Dragapult is going to be eating good next turn. He chooses to only get the counter catcher, which alas he cannot use because of the Ichipolan by that Budew. But if he has an energy in hand, he can get that little green monster out of play right now. But thankfully, he chooses to pass, not opting to do anything because he feels his board state is pretty safe right now. So, in a sense, you could say that the game is kind of swinging back to the side of Brian, but alas, he still does not have any energy on board, which is very dangerous for a Dragapult because, with 6 energies in the deck, usually you want to get some out and thin the deck because without energy, that Phantom Dive is not going to be active. Chooses to use the Ultra Ball, discarding to get the Dusknoir, putting the big scary Dusknoir out right there. The Curse Blast, a very game-changing ability, giving opponent 1 prize, but it puts 13 damage counters in play, which is very, very scary right now, actually. He counter catches the Jeremy's Dragapult, puts the Curse Blast, 13 damage with the Phantom Dive with the Sparkling Crystal, putting 6 damage counters on 1 damage counter on the Pheasantipity, and probably looking to split the damage counters around, putting, I guess, 3 on the Dreepy and 2 on the Dragcloak. Getting in 2 prizes, now they're both equal at 3-3. Jeremy using drawing the cards. Red Candies brings the Dragapult up, putting the Sparkling Crystal, puts the Luminion. He probably bosses out the Rotom. Whatever it takes, Phantom Dive, easy game. What a great play by Jeremy, giving him that round and the huge, interesting Dragapult mirror. Alright, and welcome back to the Great Ball League Rowell Round 3. We right now have Kaiser against Pervvis. Kaiser with the Lost Zone box and Pervvis with the Miraidon. Pervvis going first, starting off with the Mew EX in front using the Ultra Ball, getting the Miraidon into bench. Obviously, as a Miraidon player, you want to get your Miraidons out as soon as possible with the Tendon unit, getting yourself 2 Lightning Pokemon to the bench, filling up your bench so you can easily draw the Lightning energies out with the Lightning Generator. So he has a full bench right now with the Miraidon, Pikachu EX, Squawkabilly EX, Iron Hands EX, and the Raikou V. A very strong bench right now from the get-go, giving him the advantage. But obviously, as a Miraidon player, you would have loved to go second. But alas, he does not get anything, so he uses the attaches the energy on the Iron Hands, puts the Forest Seal Stone on the Raikou V, and uses Mew's Free Start to draw 3 more cards in the hand, since he had 0 in the beginning. So now he uses the Forest Seal Stone right away, hoping him to get any card, hopefully getting some generators or something in play to get the energies out of the deck, to hit fast and hit hard. But he chooses to get the Area 0 Underdepths, which lets him, or any player in the field that has a Terra Pokemon to have up to 8 Pokemon in the bench. A huge thing and very useful for a Miraidon deck. So he places the Fezandipity and the Latias, and he uses Squawk and Squeak, discarding the boss and drawing 6 more cards, probably already thinning his deck by half at this stage. Now he uses the Electric Generator. He gets 2 Lightning Energy on the bench, already hitting hard and hitting fast. Like, nothing's really happening to, and all Kaiser can do right now is just watch and wait, perhaps for his impending doom in the following turn. See, it's only the first turn, so Kaiser still has a comeback, hopefully can get a comeback in the following turn. Choosing perhaps to get the Iron Hands or the Raikou V. It's a very tough choice, because with the Raikou V, he gets an immediate attack on the next turn, but if he puts on the Iron Hands, it could knock out practically any of Kaiser's Pokemon on the next turn, but he chooses to put 2 on the Raikou V. So right now, Kaiser getting his first turn, he uses the Heavy Ball. He has I believe he has an Iron Hand in the prize. He takes it out from the prize. Although he did prize 1 Lost Vacuum and the Mirage Gate, which is very painful because, you want to get the Mirage Gates out at the right timing. And if it's prize and if it's your last prize, it could be dangerous. So he puts the second Comfy to the bench, uses the ability of Comfy, to look at the top 2 cards, place 1 in the Lost Zone, and put 1 on the hand. He uses it again, that very, very strong ability. It's so powerful. The Flower Selecting, gets 2 Flower Selectings out. He gets the Nest Ball, gets a 3rd Comfy out, hoping for a 3rd Flower Selecting right now. It's also the one thing strong about decks like this is, sending a deck, but he opts to pass the turn. And now Pervvis with the Miraidon in the hand, attaching the Double Turbo Energy and the Bravery Charm, giving the Iron Hands a whopping 280 HP. So now using the Arven, obviously getting the Electric Generator to draw more cards perhaps, or something else. He gets the Electric Generator and the Rescue Board, just in case the Latias gets knocked out, So it'll be a very good pivot for him in that situation. So obviously you would like to thin the deck a little bit more and get all the energy in play, because he currently has 3 Lightning Energy with the E Generator. He gets 2 Lightning Energies, pumping up that Iron Hands right away. 2 Lightning Energies and 1 Double Turbo, giving him 100 damage with a -20. But on the other hand, this gives him the guaranteed knockout on any of Kaiser's Comfies right now. So Kaiser's going to really have to fight back next turn, because he only has 2 cards in the Lost Zone. He needs to get 7 for the Mirage Gate and 10 for the Sableye. So he uses the Ampu very much, the big Doskoi hand, taking the 2 prizes right now, and he goes back to Kaiser's turn. He gets the Flower Selecting, discards it, sends the Pikachu to the Lost Zone. No? Choosing to keep the Pikachu in hand perhaps. It's either because the Pikachu can do a huge whopping 300 damage, which is very strong and probably knocks out anything on the side of Pervvis. He chooses to discard the Super Rod instead, and just putting he just passes back to Pervvis. It's a very sticky situation right now for Kaiser with nothing he could play with. So Pervvis using the Tandem Unit, looking through his deck, seeing if there's any lightning Pokemon he can put on the bench. If he does not, it helps to just shuffle the deck just in case. Right now, he has practically everything to win the game right now, so it's not looking very good for Kaiser, who needs to get a miracle and then some, because the Colress is not coming. He just uses the Iron Hands, taking 2 more prizes once again. Right now we have Kaiser with the Pokestop making Pervvis discard the 3 extra Pokemon in the bench right now. He uses the Pokestop. He gets all 3 cards in the hand, which is very strong. It helps him get a little bit more sustenance, going in the next game. But all Pervvis needs right now is just 1 more MP very much against the Comfy, and it's game over for Kaiser. So Kaiser looking through his deck. Hopefully he gets a second Comfy out. It's probably his last remaining Comfy because the other 2 was already knocked out by the MP very much. But I believe he still has a Pikachu in hand, so that could be a huge battering ram to save him from the doom that could be what Pervvis has with the Iron Hands right now. He switches out to the second Comfy. Currently right now has 4 cards in the lost zone. The second flower selecting, putting it to 5. But he needs to get the Comfy out, if not it's already game over. He has the Iron Hands and the Pikachu in the hand, however, but putting the Pikachu in the Iron Hands in the hand in the front could be very risky, because the Raikou could take that out if he has a second Area 0 right now. So he gets the third Comfy with the flower selecting. Trying to make the right play for the right situation. Although it could already be too late for Kaiser right now. Okay, this chooses to send the second Water Energy to the lost zone, because obviously the Greninja is not going to be of any use in this matchup because they're all very, very big, strong basics. So he just passes the turn, unfortunately, back to Pervvis because he cannot do anything else. So I believe, is that how it is? No, he has the Pikachu. Okay. He does not pass the turn. He's just wondering what kind of play can he use to get out of the situation, because if Pervvis has the boss in hand, it's already game over. So he puts the Pikachu in front and just hopes to pass the turn, hoping that Pervvis does not have any card to, get the boss out. The thing is, on the other hand, Pervvis has the Lumineon in the hand. So if he has the Area 0 Underdepths in play, he has the winning play right there. The problem is he needs to get 1 Pokemon out, or if he chooses to get the boss somehow. Alas, he does not. He uses the Arven to, probably tame the deck down for a lot more energies while the Electro Generator once again. Because right now, the game is all in Pervvis' side. If he can get 1 Comfy out, it's game over for Kaiser. Looking through that deck, hoping to get the cards thin out deck a little bit more, hoping to get that boss's orders or something to gust out 1 Comfy. But he chooses to get the secret box, because the secret box will link him to a boss's orders in the following turn. So if he can buy it for 1 more turn, it's game over for Kaiser. The huge hand right there. Oh, actually, he can use it to get the Area 0 for the next turn, but he chooses not to. So he chooses to bring the Raikou V out, and he hits for 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. He has hits for 200. So is it 280, 180? I believe so. He hits for 180. So Pikachu will be gone on the next turn. So Kaiser using the Pokestop, losing the Metal and second Pokestop, but he gets the Switch card, getting the Pikachu back to safety for a little bit, I guess, and he brings the big old Fuzzy Wuzzy Bear. No, he chooses to bring out the Comfy for the flower selecting, but could it be a little bit situation of a little too late right now, because okay, he gets the second Nest Ball, get the Greninja, hopefully to take his deck a little bit more if there's any plays left, but it's it's a bit of a risk, because if he gets the knockout on Pervvis right now, it could already be game over. So perhaps he's already been checkmate, but he has no idea if he is checkmate or not. So he uses the double Mirage Gate to attach that huge bunch of energy, perhaps on the Pikachu, looking to get the knockout. Nope, he puts one on the Comfy. He puts the metal on the Blood Moon Ursaluna, one on the Pikachu. He attaches one on the Comfy. He retreats the Comfy, perhaps no. So 2 on the Comfies each, 1 on the Big Bear Ursaluna, and 1 on the Pikachu. And now with the concealed cards by the Greninja, he gets, is it enough for him to do anything? He looks like he's in a pretty sticky situation, however, though. Okay, so he retreats the Comfy, but if he brings anything but the bear, it could be game over, I guess. Okay, he chooses to bring the Comfy right there, looking for a flower selecting. It's a Buddy Puffin, and he discards Puffin for something else. I am not sure what he did discard, so he obviously has the right cards to remove the Comfy from the front, because he would not do that if he does not. Looking through his hand, thinking what's the best play, but he has nothing else in play, so he retreats to get Pervvis, retreats the Raikou to get the Iron Hands, and he just couldn't get anything out. You know, great Miraidon play by Pervvis, getting a 6-0 against Kaiser. What a wonderful play to watch. Very unfortunate for Kaiser though, because he just could not get the cards in the lost zone on time. But once again, thank you all for joining us in the round 3 of the Great Ball League at Rowell. We'll see you in the next round. Alright, welcome back to the Great Ball League happening at Rowell. We are currently watching round 4, featuring Colin and Iman. Colin playing the Dragapult deck, and Iman playing the Raging Bolt. Colin is going first with the Radiant Alakazam in front. He has the Nest Ball. He gets the Dreepy out to the bench, and he attaches 1 Fire Energy and passing the turn. Iman right now, he has a very strong Raging Ball. The good thing about the Raging Ball, he has this very powerful skill called the Bellowing Thunder, which lets you hit for 70 damage for every energy you discard from your side of the field. And with the Sada in the deck, you can actually hit hard and hit fast from the first turn of the second player. So right now, discarding 1 Lightning Energy with the Earthen Vessel, probably looking to get enough perhaps for the Bellowing Thunder I guess, because if he has the Sada in hand, he can get the knockout against the Radiant Alakazam right now. But on the other hand, you know, with 2 retreat costs on the Radiant Alakazam, he might want to take the time to, you know, get some bench Pokemon out, you know, digging through his deck a little bit more, preparing for a big attack before he needs to do a proper attack, because Colin's going to discard either 2 energies or discard 1 energy with the rescue board to get that Alakazam out of play. So once again, he uses the Ultra Ball, discarding 1 Fighting, 1 Lightning to get the Squawk ability to the bench, and attaching 1 to the active Raging Bolt. The very scary thing about this Raging Ball, you know, is turning the deck so fast, so efficiently, and you could basically hit for a ridiculous amount of damage. And now he discards the Super Energy Retrieval with the Squawk and Squeak, putting the Iron Bundle to the bench first, and he gets the first Teal Mask Ogerpon, uses the Pokestop, discarding the top 3 cards, but he gets 1 Nest Ball and losing 1 Grass Energy and his second Pokestop. But you know, no, it's not a big issue for him right now, because his opponent is in a sense stuck with the Radiant Alakazam in front. So he gets the Radiant Greninja, which, you know, does not have a 2 retreat cost, but it has a very strong concealed cards, which lets you discard once again more energy to thin your deck even more. But first, he uses the Teal Mask to attach 1 energy to the Teal Mask Pokemon, and now he uses the concealed cards to draw 2 cards by discarding 1 energy. So I've already lost count of how many energy that Iman has in the discard pile, but it's a lot. It's a lot of energy. So if he gets the Sada right now, he would get a very strong play, but alas, he does not. So he uses the Burst Roar to discard his hand to draw 6 cards to perhaps get to connect it to a Sada in the next turn. Whereas Colin, on the other hand, with nothing really much in his hand, discards 2 cards with the Ultra Ball to get the Luminion in play, bringing out the Arven to get 1 item and 1 tool from his deck. You know, with this very scarce bench right now, he obviously wants to get something in play, so he uses the Buddy Buddy Puffin to get the Natu and the Dreepy in the bench. So judging from the way I'm seeing right now, he probably plays a Xatu Dragapult, you know, a more, you could say, consistent in a sense, where you get more draws from the deck, with the Xatu ability to attach 1 Psychic Energy to your bench Pokemon, but he chooses to get the evolution out to evolve the 2 Dreepies into the Dracloaks. Bring the turn back to Iman. Iman just checking through his discard pile with 5 energy in the discard, and also, unfortunately, the Super Energy Retrieval. But if he gets the Sada out, that's not really a problem for him. Right now, he chooses to use the Earthen Vessel, discarding the Nest Ball, and just checking the energy counts. Now, perhaps thinning everything, all the energy out from his deck already that fast? Wow, okay. So he gets the 2 Grass Energy, which obviously he's going to use with the Teal Mask, probably. Alright, opting for the Teal Mask right now to draw 1 card, attaching 1 energy to the Ogerpon. And he could get the Burst Roar right now, so he gets the Sada's Vitality, attaching 1 energy to 2 ancient Pokemon in play, so he attaches 1 lightning to the active Raging Ball, 1 to the bench, and drawing 3 more cards. Just getting so much power in play right now, but unfortunately for him though, if he uses the Bellowing Thunder, he only gets 1 prize. But if he can get one of the Dreepies or the Luminions out, he could hit for a huge damage. Assuming he plays the, you could say, the Pokemon Catcher right now. But he has the Iron Bundle, which lets him put something out, but he chooses to use the Burst Roar. He's discarding 1 Grass Energy from the Ogerpon and 1 Lightning from the Raging Bolt. Right now, we're going back to Colin's turn. Colin putting the Dracloak in the front using the Recon Directive. Looking at the top 2 cards, hopefully getting him something strong, perhaps a Draw Engine, perhaps a Dragapult, something to get more attacks out in play, but not seeing anything yet. Using the second Recon Directive. How will he move from this current situation? He gets the Xatu in play, you know, Xatu with it very, I believe the attack is called Clairvoyance or something. Lets you take 1 Psychic Energy from the hand to attach to your bench Pokemon to draw 2 more cards. But he gets the Unfair Stamp and the Forest Seal Stone, a very strong turn of situation. Attaches the Forest Seal Stone, and is he going to attach the energy first, or will be going? He will be using the ability of the Xatu to attach 1 Psychic and 1 Fire by your turn of the game to the Dracloak. And now he discards the Rare Candy and the Night Stretcher to get a Dragapult in front, perhaps. You evolves the Dragapult, and he uses the Unfair Stamp, where if your opponent knocks your Pokemon out in the previous turn during his turn, you can use this card's effect, which lets both players shuffle their hand, yourself drawing 5 and your opponent drawing only 2 cards. And for a deck like the Raging Bolt, you want to limit your opponent's hand from seeing a lot of cards. So very timely use of the Unfair Stamp right now. So Iman only right now having 2 cards in hand, whereas Colin having 5, using the second rescue board, I believe is the second one, the rescue board to bring the Dragapult to safety, and bringing his fully powered out Dragapult in front. So right now he's obviously going for the Phantom Dive, 200 damage on the Raging Ball in front, and putting 4 counters on the Raging Ball in the bench, and 2 on the Radiant Greninja in Iman's bench. So if he gets a boss right now, he could do a 4 prize turn on his next turn actually. But right now, Iman looking to see what is the correct play in this situation. He uses the Teal Dance on the Teal-Mask Ogerpon to attach 1 energy to it. He uses the Conceal cards to discard 1 more Grass energy to take 2 cards in his hand. But thankfully for him, he has the Poker Gear 3.0 in his hand, which it's probably going to link him to get 1 more card in play. Perhaps maybe even getting him the Sada, but he's opting to go for the Earthen Vessel instead, once again, trimming down the cards he don't need in his hand to get the energies back into his hand for more draw engines. He still has about 1 to 2 Sadas perhaps in his deck right now. So thinking what's the right play right now to get the knockout on the Dragapult, because if he wants to knock out the Dragapult, he needs to discard 5 cards in his active area to hit for a massive 350 damage. So he goes for the Poker Gear right now. Looking at the top 7 cards, hopefully you can see a Sada. He finds the Sada, getting a very timely Sada to power up perhaps his second Raging Bolt, because the one in front right now has 200 damage. It could be a bit risky, so he uses his Sada's Vitality, attaching 1 Lightning and 1 Fighting, 1 Fighting to the bench Raging Bolt, 1 Lightning to the active Raging Bolt, getting him 3 more cards. So he uses the Pal Pad to take the 2 Sadas. Perhaps that he does not have enough Sadas. He may be a prize 2 Sadas for some reason. Anyways, he uses the Pal Pad to get the 2 Sadas back in the deck. Colin shuffling it for him. And now he's using the Lost Vacuum to discard the... Okay, so he uses the Lost Vacuum to remove Colin's rescue board, so he does not have a pivot next turn if he decides to. So now using the Bellowing Thunder, discarding 5 energies, all 1 on the Ogerpon, 2 on the perhaps, because the thing is, he knows that the Raging Ball in front is not going to be surviving the next turn, so he wants to clear all the energy on that one first, giving him the big knockout on Colin's Dragapult, getting him 2 more prizes, giving him currently a 3 prize advantage. But thankfully, for Colin, he finds 1 Psychic Energy in his hand. He bosses the Raging Ball in front, going for the Phantom Dive, taking out both of Iman's Raging Bolt in play, which is going to be not very good for him right now because he has no Raging Bolts out there. He has nothing to hit back on the next turn except for that 1 lone Ogerpon. So right now Colin decides to put the extra 20 damage to the Greninja, and he chooses to bring Iman chooses to bring the Ogerpon in front. So right now, Colin has swung the game back to his favor, taking that 4 prize turn, and Iman, thinning his deck. Hopefully, they can get what he needs with the concealed cards. He finds the Raging Bolt. Now, right now, he hopes to use he uses the Pokestop. He loses the Sada and the Ogerpon. A very risky move right now. But he still has... He uses the Nest Ball to check his deck. He has 1 more Sada in the deck. So, maybe the game is not lost yet. So, he uses the Nest Ball. He chooses not to put anything on the bench. But he has that Raging Ball and down there. He chooses to get the second Ogerpon on the bench, using the energy retrieval to put more energies on the board right now, because if he gets more energy on the board, he can get more draws, hoping to link himself to that 1 more Sada. He sees the Pokestop, the Poker Gear, however, but he already has the Sada in hand, so if he gets 5 energy in play and he gets the Raging Ball up, that Dragapult is going bye-bye. Right, so right now, Iman is looking for the ideal play over here. Perhaps just checking to see if he has enough energy on the board to get the Bellowing Thunder for 350. Unfortunately, he only has 1 ancient Pokemon in play, so he uses the Sada for 1 energy, but he still has his manual attached for the turn, thankfully. Trying to see what is the ideal play right now to get that knockout this turn. But you see, he might not have the counter catcher, but he actually has the unfair stamp, which he could use this turn to swing the favor back to him. Opting to put 1 bravery charm on this Squawkabilly, bringing his HP up to 210, giving that extra protection to prevent that Dragapult from getting that knockout. Now putting the 2nd bravery charm on the Radiant Greninja. And now, hopefully, is he trying to see what's the best play right now? He's opting to retreat the Ogre Pawn and puts the Raging Ball in front. He currently has 4 energy on the board, however, which will not get him a knockout this turn, unfortunately. And he chooses to use the Timely Unfair stamp, giving himself 5, perhaps 5 different cards, maybe even the same cards he has in hand, because I believe, okay, if he have used the 2nd Teal Mask, he's not going to see an extra knockout this turn, but he might get so he uses the Iron Bundle, the Hyper Vacuum, to bring out the Lumineon, which actually gives Iman the knockout for the turn with the Bellowing Thunder. So he needs 3 energies to knock out for 210, knocking out the 170 HP Lumineon. And now we're back to Colin's turn. Colin with 2 prizes left. If he can get the knockout, he will get the win, but he doesn't have enough to knock out any of Iman's EX Pokemon, unfortunately, because all of the Pokemon in his bench all have 210 if they're EX. The Greninja, though, is currently at 180, which he will get a knockout from, but he's not gonna get the 2 prizes. So he uses the Phantom Dive, putting 200 damage on Iman's Squawkabilly, giving him 10 HP left. But thankfully for Iman, he has the Night Stretcher, putting the Hyper Blower engine out, giving him a very timely attack. He has the Raging Ball. He uses Sada for the last energy, gets the knockout with the Bellowing Thunder. Very nice comeback from Iman with the Bellowing Thunder, and we will see you guys in the next round. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Great Ball League's Round 5 happening at Rowell. We have Jeremy on the top playing Dragapult, and then we have Justin below playing the Archaludon. Jeremy going first with the Drippy in front, whereas Justin starts with the Dialga V. Jeremy opting to use the Nest Ball. Of course, once again, checking through his deck, seeing which cards are not available to him and they're stuck in the prizes, and which are the right Pokemon to get his setup ready for big, massive damage with that scary Phantom Dive. Jeremy opts to get the Duskull. He uses the Earthen Vessel to discard 1 Dracloak to take a Fire and a Psychic Energy, probably looking to get that knockout on that Dialga V-Star as soon as possible, because once that Dialga V-Star evolves into the V to the V-Star, Justin has access to the Dangerous Star Chronos ability, which gets him 2 straight turns. So if his turn ends with the Star Chronos, he gets an extra turn. Right now, he manages to get 2 Nest Ball in his starting hand, filling up that very empty bench right now. Of course, at the same time, checking through his deck, getting that Duraludon and the Greninja. A very, synchronous ability set, because the Greninja lets you discard an energy to draw cards, and with the energy in the discard, when the Duraludon evolves to an Archaludon, he can use the ability of the Archaludon EX to put 2 energies from the discard pile to one of your metal Pokemon in play. Right now, he uses the Nest Ball. He discards the Archeldon and the Metal Energy, looking to get something out in play, perhaps. But you know, once he gets the Archeldon with the Assemble Alloy, it's a very powerful move. So he gets the Relicanth instead, and he uses the Luminion V with that wondrous Luminous Sign to get the Iono with the empty hand right now, or the hand of 2 cards. Because obviously, you know, if you have a can that you don't need, just use it right now, thin the deck, thin everything out of the way. Uses the Iono, both players draw 6 cards. Perhaps, you know, unfortunately for Jeremy, however, you know, the energy, that psychic energy that he just drew is going back into the bottom of the deck. And now I have a fresh new hand in the hand of Justin's Archeldon EX. He attaches 1 energy to the Dialga V. He uses the Earthen Vessel to discard 1 more Metal Energy to perhaps look for more Metal Energies to get it onto play and into the discard eventually for the Assemble Alloy from Archeldon EX. So he takes the 2 energy. Now he uses the Metal Coating on Dialga V to attach the energies back, and now passing the turn back to Jeremy. Jeremy now hoping to see get some good plays, get some perhaps Dragapult for some Dragapult Phantom Dive shenanigans. He gets the Luminion V with the, once again, you know, him using the Luminous Sign as well, hoping to get either, I believe, a Lance or a Arven, opting to get the Arven with the Rare Candy and the Rare Candy and the Forest Seal Stone. Perhaps he's still thinking about it. Perhaps he's going to get the Forest Seal Stone for sure. And perhaps maybe he's looking for something else, because he might want to get that damage out right now to clear the Dialga out of the way. But 200 is not enough to clear the Dialga V with the Phantom Dive, because the Dialga V has 220 HP. Now still trying to make the right ins and the right outs. He has the Forest Seal, which grants him any card from the deck when he attaches it to the Luminion V and chooses to use it. He opts to get the Buddy Buddy Puffin to get, I believe, 2 more Dreepies, or maybe even a Budew to stall for turns. But the thing is that the Budew doesn't really affect Justin's Archeldon deck, because the deck goes on more with abilities and supporters. Right now we have 2 Dreepies on the bench. We have 1 Duskull and we have 1 Luminion. Right now Jeremy is seeing what are the right ins and the right outs for him to play with. Using the Luminous Sign, sorry, not the Luminous Sign, using the Forest Seal Stone's ability to get any 1 card from his deck to play. Right, just chopping through the deck, he uses it to get a Drag Cloak instead. He puts the Budew, he retreats the Dreepy with the Budew, opting to evolve the Dreepy with the Drag Cloak he just got from the Luminous, sorry, not the Luminous Sign, the Forest Seal Stone. Now using the Recon Directive. With the Recon Directive, he sees 1 extra card, and now he uses the Itchy Pollen. 10 damage to the Dialga V, and giving turn back to Justin. Justin opting to use the concealed cards by the Radiant Greninja, discarding 1 more Metal Energy to the discard pile. And he actually has the Archeldon in place, so he could use the Assemble Alloy and bring the Dialga to 5 energy, but it is still not enough to get the thing, because he does not have the Dialga V-Star in hand, I believe. He uses the Boss Orders with the Dialga V and opting to attack with the Temporal Rupture for 180 damage, because he knows whatever Jeremy has in play right now is not enough to clear the Dialga V. But if Jeremy manages to get a Dusclops and a Dragapult, it might bring Justin's Dialga V in the range of a Phantom Dive knockout, which is going to be very risky, because Justin is going to lose all the 4 energy he has in play on the Dialga V. He uses the lens, he gets 2 more Dracloaks in play. He uses the first Recon Directive to take 1 or 2 cards from the top of his deck. And now going for the second Recon Directive, it's a very strong card because you get to see 6 cards and you get to take 3 and put it into your hand without the need of a supporter or an item card. Now using the third Recon Directive to get 3 more cards into the hand. He's obviously ideally looking for a Dragapult and a Psychic Energy to strike with the Phantom Dive. He evolves the Dragapult into the Dreepy, into the Dragapult, and now using the Ultra Ball, discarding the Budew. I believe right now he might be looking for a knockout with the Dusclops, perhaps? Because if he evolves the Dusclops to the Dusclops, he is going to get 50 damage on the Palkia, or he might choose to put it on something else. But right now, if he wants to get that 4 energy out of play, he is going to use the Curse Blast to take 5 damage counters on the Dialga V. Now attaching, and just like as I said, he uses the Curse Blast, putting 5 damage counters on the Dialga V. He puts the Lost City in play, and now if he uses a Phantom Dive, we are not going to see any more Dialga V action from Justin if he only plays a 1/1 line. The Phantom Dive putting 200 damage on the Dialga V, and he puts the 6 damage counters with the effect of Phantom Dive on Justin's Luminion V. Right now, Justin's in a pretty sticky situation because all the energy he had in play is all gone right now, and his Arkeldon only has 1 energy. But fret not, he still has many energies in hand. He still has the Turo scenario if he chooses to do more shenanigans. He opts to get the Night Stretcher, bringing the Arkeldon, attaching the 2 energies to the Arkeldon in front. It's a very strong skill. Right now, continuing on, he'll be using the Red and Green Just Conceal cards, discarding 1 more Metal Energy to draw 2 more cards. It's a very big hand that he has right now, but he's not going to get the knockout with that attack, but he uses the Turo scenario to scoop the Luminion V back to his hand, denying Jeremy of a potential 2 more prize next turn. And now he uses the Palpad to take 1 boss, I believe 1 boss and 1 Turo back into the deck, giving him more options in the following turns to buy some more time. And now with a very relatively thick hand, he attaches 1 energy to the benched Arkeldon. And he's going to use the attack from the Arkeldon, the Metal Defender, to put 200 damage on Jeremy's Dragapult EX. And for the next turn, the Arkeldon EX will not be having any resistance, which actually doesn't really do much in the situation because Jeremy does not play any fire Pokemon. But anyways, back to Jeremy's turn. He uses the first Recon Directive to draw 1 of 2 cards from the top of his deck, opting to see the ideal play with the next turn. And now hoping to see he's using the second Recon Directive to take 1 more card in hand, perhaps maybe something to give him a big knockout in the following turn. The scary thing right now, however, is that with the Dragapult EX Phantom Dive, he will deal 200 damage to Justin's Arkeldon EX, but because he has the Relicanth in the bench, if the odd chance or the off chance that he uses the Phantom Dive, he's going to be putting 200 damage on the Arkeldon V, and doing so, he can use the Relicanth's ability to access Arkeldon's basic form, the Duraludon, for the Raging Hammer for a 280 damage back against the Dragapult. But alas, it is not enough to knock out the Dragapult. But if he hits 1 more Metal Defender, he will be taking the knockout against Jeremy's Dragapult EX. Jeremy, however, opting to evolve his second Dracloak in bench to a Dragapult and evolving the Dreepy into a Dracloak. And right now, using the Counter Catcher to bring out the fresh Archaeodon from the bench, and now using the Iono to obviously, you know, bring the playing field down from Justin's big hand down to a mere 3 cards. Jeremy himself also only seeing 3 cards, but you know, for him it's fine, because if he can keep smacking the Archaeodon with the Phantom Dive, he's gonna get a pretty good trade back in this situation. But the problem is, if Jeremy gets the knockout on this Dragapult, he's gonna be in a very huge advantage. So Jeremy smartly deciding to retreat the Dragapult and putting that fresh Dragapult with the Sparkling Crystal right now, and probably hitting with the Phantom Dive, putting 200 on the active Archaeodon with 1 energy and 60 to the bench Archaeodon with the 3 energies. Right now we are going back to Justin's turn. He decides to bench 1 of the Duraludons, hoping to see the correct play right now, because if that Archaeodon is still in play, it's gonna be risky, because Jeremy is gonna see 2 big prizes next turn. Right now, Justin benching the 4th Duraludon, and now he uses the Raging Hammer on the Dragapult EX, I believe, doing 280 damage, if I'm not wrong, 280 or 90 damage. So right now Jeremy uses the 2 Recon Directive to see 2 cards from the top of his deck. He feels like he might have a game already in this situation, but he still needs to see, I believe, 3 more prizes. Now Jeremy feeling what's the right situation over here to get the knockout. He Phantom Dives, taking out the Archaeodon in the active and sending them to the Lost Zone. And trying to see what's the right way to split the damage counters on the Duraludons, putting 2 on the fresh first Duraludon, and putting the remaining 4 on the other Archaeodon. Alright, we're going back to, I believe you're going back to Justin's turn, or is there already a knockout already? Justin trying to see what the right play is in this situation. He chooses to bring the Archaeodon with 100 damage on the front. It is very risky, because 1 more Phantom Dive and Jeremy's going to win the game, because he has 2 prizes left. Right now, I believe using, I think, a Nest Ball to check through his deck, see what's the right card in situation. But if there's nothing for him to play right now, he's just going to see what other tools he has available to get him the cards to see the right out to rescue his situation right now. He uses the Nest Ball for the Scyther, which is very strong, because if it evolves to the Scizor, he's getting access to the Punishing Scissors. But if he has no retreat right now, it's game over. So trying to see the right situation right now. He retreats he discards the 2 energy on the Archaeodon and brings the Scyther to pass the turn. Jeremy going back, immediately getting the boss, and with the boss, the top deck boss, he gets the game, he makes it to the next round. And thank you all for joining us. We'll see you in the last round. Back to the Great Ball League round 6 at Rowell. We have Jeremy on top playing the Dragapult EX, and Iman below playing the Raging Ball EX. So this match of players is actually a rematch from the final round of the UBL's very first UBL earlier this year. So right now, Jeremy starting off with Duskull, and he plays a Luminion with the Luminous Sign, getting Arven for his hand in the next turn, because, you know, a player cannot play supporters in the first turn unless you're playing Pokemon Pocket. And of course, at the same time, checking through his deck, seeing what cards are available for him, and you know what cards are priced once again, because deck checking is a very important skill in playing Pokemon comparatively. And right now, we're just going to see what else Jeremy has in store. Shuffles the deck, looks through his hand. If he has nothing available, he passes the turn back to Iman. Iman with the Sandy Shocks in front, attaching 1 energy. I believe the Sandy Shocks has an attack called where if you have 3 or more energies in play, that Pokemon does 20 plus 72, a whopping 90 damage. As a basic, it's a pretty strong attacker actually. And Iman are putting 2 Teal Mask Ogerpon to the bench and using the Teal Dance each on both Ogerpons, drawing 2 more cards. He plays the Squawkabilly EX, he puts the Pokestop as a stadium, hopefully to get even more cards this turn. He puts the Breeding Greninja in the bench, he concealed cards for 2 cards. Hopefully, the ideal way for a Raging Ball player is to throw energies in this card, draw more cards, then once you got enough cards in this card, you lay it off with a big Bellowing Thunder from Raging Bolt. But unfortunately for Iman, we still don't see a Raging Ball in play. But honestly, that's not really an issue right now because Jeremy's board is looking pretty thin, and on his first turn, he couldn't set up a single 3P in the bench. But with the Ultra Ball discarding the energy and the Facility, Iman gets the first Raging Bolt into the bench. Hopefully he might want to get a Sada to get more energy on the Raging Bolt for a huge Bellowing Thunder, but right now, honestly, the Sandy Shock is going to do really good work with that very huge attack. Right now, just shuffling through the deck, the Sandy Shocks actually has the Magnetic Burst, I believe, doing 90 damage. That doesn't do weakness of resistance if it happens, but thankfully for him, with the Stardust Vitality, he has 1 fighting on the Raging Ball and 1 lightning on the Sandy Shocks. Now putting the Bravery Charm on the Ogerpon and hitting Jeremy's Duskull with the Magnetic Burst for a whopping 90 whole damage. Now Jeremy promoting Luminium V to the front and getting the Buddy Buddy Puffin with the Arven, I believe. Getting finally 2 Dreepies in play, hopefully getting a Dragapult before time runs too late for him. The problem for him, however, is that the Sandy Shocks can hit for 9 damage, but if he doesn't need that, he could retreat it once to get the Raging Ball out, and you will knock out the Aluminum for another 2 more prize. Over here, he is getting the Arven with the Forest Sealstone, and probably a second Buddy Buddy Puffin perhaps? Because if that bench is looking thin, nothing's gonna work out in his way. So he wants to fill that bench to get more Dreepies and more Duskulls to get that Phantom Dive blasting Dragapult EX to play. He uses the Buddy Buddy Puffin, he keeps the Forest Sealstone in the hand, looking through the deck. He's eyeing a Budew perhaps, because with the Budew's Itchy Pollen, he is going to prevent Iman from using any of the items he has in his hand. So no Poke Gear, no energy retrieval. He's going to have to dig through the deck by his energies with the Ogerpon, like true abilities, just to get the Sada. And if he cannot do that, he's gonna be stuck just whacking with Sandy Shocks. But honestly for Iman, he is fine with that because his opponent's bench is looking pretty empty right now. Alright, over here we have the 4 Dreepies in the bench, attaching the Forest Sealstone to the Luminion and immediately putting it to good use. And which ideal card is Jeremy looking for right now? Because he needs to find a way to get the Luminion out. If not, that Raging Bolt is going to hit it definitely next turn for 2 more prizes. And the best way to stop the advantage of Iman's Raging Bolt, he wants to put a Dreepy in front to buy some time. Or maybe, make Iman work to get that Raging Bolt out, which he chooses to do so. Now Iman with the concealed cards, discarding 1 fighting energy, drawing 2 cards. He has, I believe he has a Grass energy in the hand for the Teal Dance to see more cards. He gets the Pokestop out, looking for a Sada perhaps. Can he get that Sada in play? He gets the Sada. If he gets the Sada, it means all the energy he's discarding via the Greninja is going back to the active play on the Sandy Shocks and the Raging Bolt. So now using the Pokestop, he sees two items, the Unfair Stamp and the Earthen Vessel, losing the Ogerpon, but honestly it's not a big issue because his board is looking pretty good right now. Now I'm checking through his discard pile, seeing the cards he has available, using the Earthen Vessel, discarding the Nest Ball to thin out even more cards from his deck. So with the two grass energies, he gets to see two more cards from the deck, so he's going to thin it down by a lot. Now getting the two cards into the hand, and probably getting two more Teal Dance, getting the first one out of the way, drawing the Bravery Charm, I believe. And now hopefully seeing a second one perhaps. With the very big hand he has right now, using the, is he going to attach to the, he chooses to attach to the Magneton, because he needs a big 3 energy to get all that energies in play. 2 energies, I believe. Now using the Stardust Vitality, attaching the Lightning to the Raging Bolt, and leaving that one fighting on the Sandy Shocks. Now using his second Teal Dance. Now he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 energies on board. He'll be discarding 3 from the Ogerpons to deal the Bellowing Thunder, knocking out the Luminion out of play. And now Jeremy with only 1 Dreepy in front of energies and 3 on the bench. And he's in the behind with a 3 price disadvantage. How is Jeremy coming back from this situation? Thankfully for him though, he uses the Lance, which lets him take up to 3 Dragon Pokemon from his deck into his hand, opting to get 3 Dragcloaks perhaps to evolve the ones on the bench, and maybe bringing the Dragapult out in front, or just buying some more time. Unfortunately for him though, if he gets 1 Dragapult too late, that's all Iman needs to get the victory today. Right now just shuffling through the deck, choosing to get the Dragcloaks, going with opting for the Pokestop, but losing the Temple of Sinnoh, the Dusclops, and the Fire Energy. A very risky move right there, but he needs to think his deck right now, if not, he's not going to see any play. He evolves the first 3, all 3 Dreepies on the bench to a Dragcloak, using all the Recon Directives, getting 3 more cards to his hand. Hopefully something that might get him an attack, but it doesn't seem quite hopeful right now for Jeremy. Right, because he has no bombs, so no Curse Blast happening this turn. He has no Dragapult, so no Phantom Dive yet. But he has the Counter Catcher in hand, which he could use to bring something out. But he gets the Rare Candy, he gets the Raging Bolt, he gets the Dragapult EX in front. He opts to attach the Psychic Energy to the bench Dragcloak. Perhaps looking to see how much energy that Iman has in the discard, how much Stardust he has already used up, because if he used all the Stardust, Iman's going to have to fight back to knock out the Dragapult. So now Iman's Raging Ball is going to get hit for 70 with the Dragapult EX's Jet Headbutt. A risky move, but if that's the only thing he can play, now is the best thing he can do with it. Iman uses the Energy Retrieval, getting 2 more Grass Energy back into the hand, using the first Teal Dance to attach, using the second Teal Dance to draw 2 cards. And unfortunately for Jeremy right now, Iman actually has 6 energy on board and a huge Bravery Charm, bringing that Raging Bolt up to a whopping 290 HP. And now Iman using the Poké Gear, he gets the Earthen Vessel, but he loses 1 Raging Bolt and another card. But for him, honestly though, with that price advantage, that's really a minor problem for him right now. Opting to use the second Bravery Charm on the Ogerpon, he uses the Earthen Vessel, discards the Nest Ball. Checking through the deck, he still has 1 more Sada in the deck, thankfully, so he doesn't need to use the Sada right now, but when he does, Jeremy's going to be in big trouble. Right now, seeing what's the optimal play, he chooses to attach perhaps the energy. Nope, he uses the Conceal cards on their Radiant Greninja to get 2 more cards. discards the lightning energy. He sees 2 more cards. He gets the Pel Pad. Iman gets the very necessary Pel Pad to take 2 Sadas back into the deck, and with a deck so thin like that, it might spell disaster for Jeremy right now. Because all he needs to do is just hit back-to-back Bellowing Thunders, and it's sayonara for Jeremy right now. He uses the Sada to attach the 1 lightning on the Sandy Shocks. He discards all 5 energy from the back to knock out the Dragapult, with the Bellowing Thunder hitting it for 350 damage. I'm now at 1 prize, Jeremy still at 6. A very risky game right now from 6 to 1. It's a very hard game for Jeremy to come back. Can he make a miraculous comeback? The problem, however, is that Jeremy does not have a Dust Skull, and even if he does, he gives Iman 1 prize with the Curse Blast. So he's going to have to rely on the Dragapult to move damage around with the Phantom Dive and the Radiant Alakazam to move all the damage counters around. He uses the Nest Ball. He gets the Radiant Alakazam to the bench, opting to discard the now unusable Dust Nor with the Earthen Vessel, getting, I believe, a Psychic and a Fire Energy into the hand. Hopefully just one energy, to a Psychic and a Fire to the hand, which gives him an attack on the Dragapult if he gets that. So now he uses the Iono with the Luminous Sign from a very strong Luminous Sign, getting the Iono to the hand of Jeremy, attaching 1 to the Drag Cloak, and now opting, perhaps evolving to Dragapult, putting the Rescue Bot on the Radiant Alakazam, and just counting the amount of energies in the discard pile of Iman, because if he gets 1 Sada from the card, it's too late for him. So now he chooses to use the Iono, counter catches the Sandy Shocks to the front for Iman, drawing 6 important cards for him right now. And just Jeremy seeing what is the right play, what is the correct play to get the victory off right now. So now he uses the Pain Spoon from the Alakazam to put 2 damage counters onto the Sandy Shocks, and using the Jet Headbutt once again to do 70 damage and not knocking out the Sandy Shocks, because if Iman cannot get the Raging Bolt active, it spells disaster for him as well, because unfortunately for him, he does not have any other Raging Ball in play. He can hit with the Ogerpon, but it's going to be pretty rough for him. So if he can see 1 Sada right now, it's game over for Jeremy. With the concealed cards, he draws 2 cards, uses the Pokestop, and he loses the boss, but he gets the very timely switch card. Using the switch card, bringing the Raging Bolt in front. Not looking very good for Jeremy right now. He gets the Sada, attaches 1 energy in front for the Raging Bolt, puts 1 on the Sandy Shocks. He draws 3 cards, and he sees the Super Energy Retrieval. But he doesn't even need that, because he has a Night Stretcher, putting the 1 energy with the Teal Dance on the Ogerpon, using the Bellowing Thunder, and giving him the win in the final game. Thank you all for joining us. My name is Ash, and we'll see you guys back here on the GGG channel.